Okay, next dialectic. There are 4 of these that we're going to work with. The next one is the being aware of my thinking versus my feeling data. Sir Ken Robinson has a fabulous TED Talk out there. Some of you may be familiar with it, where he talks about how our systems of education are set up. And one of the things that he says in his talk is that from about 5 onwards, we cut people off at the neck, and we value everything that is above the neck, and we forget everything that is embodied. And I think he makes some funny comment about how our bodies exist to carry our heads around. Yes? And so many of us, this is a beautiful image that speaks to this dichotomy, that as we go through schools, we are we are trained in evaluation, analysis, thinking, critical thinking, and that part of our functioning is really celebrated, rewarded, valued, seen, and so we have a lot of attention on that. And then we learn that our feelings, we can learn all kinds of things about our feelings, and we could probably do a whole day on emotions. But essentially, I'm going to boil it down to 2 simple things. Either your feelings are inappropriate and not welcome, so make them go away, or if you ramp up your feelings, you can scare other people enough to get what you want. Okay? So this is how many of us relate to feelings. And depending on a lot of experiences that you bring through your lifetime to this moment, you will be differently controlled by other people's feelings. So it may be that you find it difficult to be present to somebody who's angry. That is a common one. That if somebody gets angry enough around me, I will go scared, and I will start doing my defensive maneuvering back to the piece, and I'll start accommodating them. And so if you're the one getting angry, you might learn, oh, that's an interesting strategy. I can get more of what I want if I ramp my feelings up. And so now I play them and I ramp them, and we're not doing this consciously. I mean, don't hear this like you're nefariously planning this. We just learn these habits. So, okay, I'm going to pause there, and I'm just going to come back to this. We don't want to numb out, and we don't want to act out. What we want to do with our feelings is bring our observation to our feelings. And one, this is going to sound so obvious, we feel our feelings. That's all you do with it. It is nothing more than neutral data that your body provides for you about how you are perceiving a situation and to what degree your needs are being met or unmet. You wake up in the morning, hopefully, in an ideal situation, you're feeling refreshed because your need for rest and rejuvenation was just met. And you might be feeling a little hungry because your body hasn't had fuel for 12 hours and is sending you a signal that it needs a little bit of fuel. And you might be feeling thirsty because you haven't had anything to drink for 12 hours and your body is letting you know that it needs some more fluid inside of it. So you take your feeling of hungry and thirsty and you go and you find a strategy to meet those needs, and you meet the needs and the hunger and the thirst goes away, you're back in homeostasis. And then as you move through your day doing all of the things that you are doing, over time your body begins to let you know that you start feeling tired because your need for rest is coming up again. It's very simple in theory. Right? We don't do this with our emotions. Many of us don't even do this with our bodies, to the degree that we're out of touch with our bodies and not valuing the signals from our bodies because we've been taught in a competitive, individualistic culture that you just need to bite the bullet and override everything. So we get up into our heads and we miss a lot of data. And the data that is provided to us through our feelings and our needs are about what is going to make your life more wonderful. What do you need to survive and thrive? That information is internally generated for you all the time. And so this dialectic, and the next one that we're going to talk about, is about developing a different relationship with my feelings, where I develop the capacity to tolerate negative emotion, or what I previously evaluated as negative emotion. It's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So where this plays out in schools for me a lot is working with students that the frustration you're feeling actually means something good. It's okay to tolerate frustration. It's okay for learning to feel uncomfortable. You don't always have to feel good for things to be okay. And to your situation, the employment situation, it's fine to have a little bit of vulnerability and anxiousness coming up when we're in the middle of an ambiguous process where you can't see the end. That your feelings are simply telling you about your qualitative experience as you go. You don't want to numb out from them. You also don't want to give them too much power. And in nonviolent communication, what we really practice is connecting our feelings to our deep underlying needs. And this is a place where you may want to grab out your feeling and needs sheets, because the way we use the word needs in this communication model is very, very different than the cultural way that we use the word needs. Culturally, when we talk about needy people, it's a negative thing. Right? Needy people are clingy and dependent and weak and high maintenance and not something that any of us would want to be. So what we're talking about here, when we're talking about the concept of universal human needs, Mickey Cashton, a trainer out of San Francisco who does a lot of work in convergent facilitation, calls it the non-controversial essence. So what is the non-controversial essence that the people in the situation share? This is the place where we have no conflict with others. It is also the place that in large part gives rise to our feelings. When my needs are well met, I'm likely to feel a variety of good things that lets me know that I'm thriving. I'm enjoying something. Something is really meeting my needs. When my feelings inch towards the more unpleasant internal alert system feelings, they're designed to bring my attention to what it is that I'm needing. If I'm feeling really lonely, I can ask myself, what am I needing? Possibly companionship. If I know that I'm needing companionship, I now have options to get my needs met. And I can choose some strategies, that's on the other side here, that are well aligned to these needs. If my relationship with my feelings is that there are good feelings and bad feelings, and if I feel bad because I was brought up in deserve culture, then it means I am bad, right? You should feel bad because there's something wrong with you. Now I'm feeling lonely. Then I'm likely to have a lot of thinking kick in that says, wow, I'm such a loser. Oh, I'm lonely. I have no friends. Oh, I'm lonely. Nobody likes me. So what many of us do is we have a feeling and we go straight to our thinking, which we've been trained to do. And we need to make meaning of our feelings. So, oh, I'm really angry. It must be because you blah, 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 blah. We're back in an old frame. Something is wrong. So a big piece of this practice is getting out of the idea that feelings tell us that something is right and wrong, and instead have the self-discipline internally of beginning to ask yourself, I'm feeling something, what am I needing? I'm feeling frustrated, what needs of mine are up? I'm feeling sad, what deep need do I have? Because when I'm connected with my needs, I have more options, and my strategies are going to be more effectively aligned to what's actually going to help the situation. This is not our habit. Our habit, culturally, is to not know what we're feeling a lot of the time. Certainly, we don't have a literacy of our needs most of the time. But I know what is wrong with me and you, and I know what I think about all of these patterns that we are in, and I certainly have a lot of ideas of how I need to be different or how you need to be different, and then I'm going to make a lot of demands on you or me, right here, and I'm going to set us up in a power struggle. And this conflict can become intractable and unenjoyable and can create more suffering. When I'm able to move into a place of observing, I start practicing my ability to track the internal sense of how things are landing on me and what is happening inside of me without being reactive to it. I have the self-discipline and the practice of automatically beginning to imagine, what am I really needing right now? Then I can come up with some ideas where what I start practicing over here is making requests. These are like little invitations to make my life more wonderful. But they're nothing more than an invitation. If you say yes, I'll be delighted. If you say no, I'll be fine. Because it's just one idea. I'm throwing out a strategy here in my request. And then we are sort of co-creating what's going to work for both of us. Because in the in the collaborative, nonviolent communication frame, the other thing that's very different is that up here, I am holding your needs plus my needs plus our needs as important and valuable and mattering. So my internal positioning is that what I am needing is important and it matters. What you are needing is important and it matters. And what we as a community are needing and how our way of being impacts the whole also matters. And so I have 3 ways of checking out any strategy because I'm caring for the whole. In this frame, I'm likely to think it's either you or me, them or us. In terms of when I'm in dialogue or when I'm trying to solve something. Because this frame tends to be more dualistic, which tends to lead to more disconnection. So in terms of the very basic communication model, I would use it in a relationship where my desire to connect with and understand another person in order to build relational trust before we go into any kind of strategizing is a priority to me. Because what I'm wanting to do is have a relational, trusting experience between me and another human being, out of which we can use all of this functioning, but it's going to feel very, very different when there's trust that we both matter and that we're working together. And so this is I'm going to connect before I correct. So I will use this model either internally to position myself or between the two of us, and in classical NVC, it'll sound like I will try to enter the conversation with as much observation as I can. I will share, depending on the setting. Now let's take this into your personal lives because you'll share feelings more in your personal lives than in your work lives. There are ways that you can adapt this to fit work culture differently than intimate relationship culture. So let's just go personal for a moment. I'm going to tell you, when you came in with that frying pan, remember when you came in with that frying pan this morning? Yeah, I felt really surprised and shocked and a little bit bewildered. And I, in that moment, had a real need for some clarity and understanding of what was happening as I was beginning to wake up. And I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about what happened for you when you noticed that frying pan in the dishwasher this morning. That would be the classical NVC model. Okay? What I'm observing, what I remember seeing and hearing, or not seeing or not hearing. What came alive in my heart. I'm not only sharing everything that's defended and up here, I'm moving down into the rest of you and of me, and I'm showing you more of me. I'm being more transparent with you than I might normally be. And I'm owning my feelings by letting you know that I'm aware that these are the needs that were activated, and I am instantly giving you something you can do to help the situation. I'm leading you into a quality of conversation that is not asking you to defend yourself, explain yourself, tell me what is wrong with you, invite you into some cognitive thing at first. I'm wanting to connect. I'm wanting to understand what was happening for you this morning. And so that's how I would lead in with observation, feeling, need, request. Ideally, if they're speaking the same nonviolent language and they're wanting to get to a place of compassion, he might say to me, yeah, you know, I opened up that dishwasher. This is you now speculating empathy. And I saw a frying pan. And I remembered you saying that you wouldn't do that. So I really felt angry and surprised and shocked. And I was also feeling bewildered because I want more trust in our relationship. And when you say you're going to do something, I'm really wanting to trust that that can be a predictable thing for me. And I'm curious about what got in the way of you just washing the pan last night. Now there's tone of voice, there's body language, there's everything that's getting activated. Now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of this being very, very complicated. But just on the surface piece of getting the language down, are you seeing how that can be a different frame than the old conversation?